Welcome everyone to The Creative Entrepreneur, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking to one of the leading photographers in the industry. We're going to talk about how he has generated passive income and utilizes social media to build a following of over 100,000 people. So stay tuned.
Coming to you from San Antonio, Texas, welcome to The Creative Entrepreneur, a podcast created to help entrepreneurs build their business. Branding, marketing, analytics, positioning, and lead generation, plus interviews with other business owners to learn from their successes and failures. Now, here is your host, Abel Garza.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Creative Entrepreneur, and today I'm really excited about our guest. He's one of the leading photographers in the industry, and he's going to talk a little bit about how he has generated passive income and how he has utilized social media to create a following of over 100,000 people. So please help me welcome our guest, Francisco Hernandez. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good.
Awesome, man. I'm super excited to have you on the show today. I've been following you for some time now, and I must say that I am a huge fan of your work. You clearly stand out from everybody else, and you have this unique approach to your photography that I'm dying to learn. Now that I see what you're doing, I see that you're doing some education. Is that your niche right now? Is it education?
Yeah, education is something that I honestly didn't ever think that was something that I was going to pursue early on in my life. But over the course of, going through photography, experiencing all the struggle and all the difficulties involved with it, it made me see, is anybody else going through this as well? And if they are, I want to help them succeed and learn faster than I did. So I eventually just got into teaching others, and I started to monetize that, and that's how I've been earning in the past couple of years.
You started doing some behind-the-scenes work. Yeah. And you've utilized several platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and there was a point in the trajectory of your success in the popularity of what you're doing. I've noticed that you're doing off-camera flash, you're doing behind-the-scenes work, and so at what point in the trajectory of your business did you start to see an increase or an influx in revenue, followers, and business?
So there's 2 points that I definitely can attribute to a big increase in, I guess, visibility. The one that definitely can, I can say that is one that's biggest for me is back in 2015. I did a photo shoot with a local model. I think she's actually the first model that I worked in my area. And she, at that photo shoot, I took behind the scenes photos because I just, I like to share information. But when I edited those behind the scenes photos, I was like, you know what? I want to make these different somehow. I want to make them a little bit funnier. I want to label certain things, just be done with it, have fun with it. And when I shared the set of images on my Facebook and in my lighting group, or I actually did have one at the time, but on my Facebook page, I shared the behind the scenes photos, and people picked up on the fact that they were not just behind the scenes photos, but they're just, a little bit funny. And it got to the point where enough people were interested in it or were sharing it that a website by the name of DIYphotography.net decided to share those sets of images. And even from them sharing it, it even got featured on petapixel.com. And after that point, more people got familiar with me, my work, and the fact that I was sharing behind the scenes. And it kind of just helped my visibility so much.
That's awesome. And a lot of photographers, they come into the business wanting to know more and more and more, and they're just hungry for knowledge, and you're just providing that at a rapid pace. And of course, your followers are continually inflowing to these platforms that you're using. What would you say is the biggest value bomb that you could give your audience, your customers, your photographers?
Well, I don't mean this to be cheesy or anything, but just trying to relate to other people and placing yourself in their shoes is the best thing that's worked for me personally. I tend to be a very personal guy, and I try to think about, if somebody's struggling with learning something, because again, the way that I make money is with education. So I think the people that would want to pay me to learn, they see that, I don't make fun of people for asking questions that everybody asks when they're starting. And they really, they're open to that. They're very receptive to that. So I think just the fact that I was able to place myself in their shoes and be so welcoming to any sort of questions that, they're like, hey, I want to learn more from this guy. And when I do photo walks, that's the one thing that I get feedback from all the time, that they were happy that I was able to kind of pull them out of their comfort zone while also keeping them in a comfortable position where they can ask questions. So that ability to relate to these people, these different photographers that I've met over time, is something that really helped me. And it's not a front. I want to be honest about that. I know the names of the people who attended my photo walks last week. I know the people that have attended my photo walks, that I've done in the past. And I just enjoy photography, helping people, and, taking pictures.
So I've attended walks and seminars, and I've kept in contact with many of the photographers that I've worked with, and I'm able to ask them questions. Are your customers or your photographers able to come back and ask you questions, or do they have to re-attend the session?
I don't want to be cynical, but I've always thought about that. I thought, if I were to attend somebody's workshop and then ask them questions after the fact, are they only answering me because I attended and bought something from them, or would they have already answered me in the same manner had I not? And I never think about that in terms of my own way of answering people's questions. I want to answer their questions regardless if they intended anything. I want them to, if anything, my incentive, if I'm thinking about making money, is the fact that I'm so open to answering their questions that would make them want to attend something that I'm offering in terms of a photo class or something. And I think, you know what, I'm getting a little off track. I start to think again, passionate about something.
You know what? It's all good. It's all good. So your primary revenue is, obviously education, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you do your photo shoots, is this primarily for the educational part of it, or generating the videos or anything that comes forth through that? And if so, do you pay these models, or do these models volunteer, or how do you get all these people to come in and do these workshops with you using these models?
So that's a good question, because for a long time, for longer than I wanted to, I was doing photo shoots to kind of keep it in an educational sense of sharing it behind the scenes and settings and stuff. And it wasn't until later that I decided, you know what, from these photo shoots, I could have done a video on a certain topic, and I could have made more money that way through a YouTube video or something else. But to answer your question simply, I never pay the model unless I'm charging for something, in the sense that I always feel like, because I'm going to be providing them with great images that I believe are going to be unique in a sense, that it's going to, the way they're modeling is going to cancel out what I would charge. And it actually, if I'm being totally honest here, sometimes the models that I worked with before, they really were a challenge to work with, in the sense that they said they were a model, they had a great look, but they couldn't smile, they couldn't, emote or express themselves in their face or something like that. So it was a real challenge for me. So I had to, the nicest way possible, tell them that, and really get, it was a struggle for me. So it had, for example, if I paid the model, then that would definitely not feel right with me. So I work with the models that I worked with to produce content, of course, in the educational sense, but I always want to keep it, at least to start with, TFP. Nobody charging. I'm not charging them. They're not charging me. Even though I am, creating behind the scenes content. But unless I'm charging for something, then like the photo walks I just did, then I wouldn't really pay the model.
Oh, do you still do regular photo shoots for clients, or is it strictly just education now? It's
strictly education now. If I actually am gonna charge a client, then they're probably a family member or a friend of a family member.
Wow, that's okay.
I'm making an exception.
Supposed to do that anyways.
Yeah, I'm making an exception.
Okay, so as far as education, I want to piggyback on that, and this is your primary revenue as far as education is concerned. Do you hire videographers, or do you partner up with any kind of videographer that helps you with these videos, or do you do all these yourself?
So if you've seen any of my recent videos, I have actually asked my fiance, Ashley, to do the video for me. I actually tend to, it works out for us both that I like to shoot during a time where she's free. She works like was it 8 to 5 job. And I do my shoots typically at 5:30, 6 p.m. and later on. And she used to be the dedicated light assistant, but now I'm like, you know what, grab the video camera. I'll go ahead and just put a sandbag on the light, and then you can get some nice video for me for my videos, for my YouTube videos. But I actually have charged, though. I've charged in the past. A friend of mine who lives locally, he was doing video work, and I was like, you know, maybe it would help to have somebody dedicated doing video, because for the longest time I was just doing tripod work, and then I started to see that more dynamic video was just better looking and more cinematic, and I did like that. So I charged him for a couple of photo shoots. I did make some videos from that, and it was really nice. And one of my favorite videos, my very favorite video of all my YouTube channel, is my video with using the Godox 8400 Pro for a shoot that I did in a local downtown city. And that was definitely because of his work. His name is Jeff Antons, and he definitely made the video really nice. So big props to him. But yeah, I've always thought about how am I going to increase my production value, how to make it look really good. Yep. And I'm doing little steps over time. I've done little steps to increase that. And if I'm feeling lazy, then I'll go ahead and just add a video on a tripod and have Ashley hold the light. But yeah, there's different things I could do, and it just depends on how invested I am in this video and how good I want it to look like to go a step further or not.
That's awesome, man. I mean, just knowing that you're almost, we're all on the same boat, honestly, just because, as a photographer, usually it's early in the morning, but I think being retired and being able to dictate my schedule, and sometimes I work till like 2 a.m, sometimes editing photos or whatever. 9 o'clock is about my thing, so I can see how sometimes we as photographers can procrastinate or get a little bit lazy, but it's those guys, it's those women photographers
yes.
that are continually pushing and trying to get better. There was a time when I would wake up in the morning, I'd go work out, and I'd come back from my workout, spend an hour just educating myself on something, whether it be off-camera flash or just different components of photography, and just trying to be an expert in that area. So I'm curious to know what type of equipment you use.
So I use Final Cut Pro specifically because I just like, when I was learning it, I was like, oh, this is simple. I like the way that it works and operates. And I do tend to use some Apple products. I love using the iPhone, and AirDrop's easy to kind of send stuff back and forth. I use that for video editing. I use this program by the name of Camtasia to screen record on my PC, but when I'm using my MacBook or my iMac for recording screen editing and stuff, I use QuickTime. I didn't even know that they had a built-in like screen recorder, so QuickTime is perfect for that. When I'm using, I try to never ever use my PC for editing because my PC is kind of slow. But I use my Sony a7 III to, it's a dedicated camera for when I do my intros to my videos. I use that with the Sigma 16mm, which is a crop sensor, which equivalent to 24mm. It's their $300, I believe, lens. But that's perfect for getting a wide-angle view of my desk and me talking to the camera. When I'm recording on the field, I guess, in my photo shoots, and I wanted some more cinematic footage, it's a dual-hand stabilizer by the name of Feiyu Tech A2000. I use that one. It's actually a couple years old, so it's probably a lot cheaper than when it first came out. And I like the dual-hand setup just because it's a lot. I feel like using the one hand, it's just more weight in the center, and then distributing that weight is just easier. And plus, you can put attachments on the different handlebars. So that's the camera that I always give Ashley to record. I think, that's the main camera, the stabilizer. I use, the Rode wireless, I think it's the wireless kit or something, Rode Link, something like that. Just so I can, get the audio synced up with the video. Previous to that, I was using a regular Zoom H1 mic with a lav, and I had to sync the audio in post. so I didn't really like doing that. But and actually, the last thing I could probably mention is that previous to editing off of the MacBook or the iMac, I was using this one. Actually, I think that program, Camtasia. I was using that to edit my videos, and it was just so bad. It was just, there was a lot of issues that it had. That was like my learning phase, I guess I would say. But yeah, that's the stuff
does
I
it
use.
record in like MOV or
I think it's I don't want to give you a wrong answer.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, but it was just bad for editing.
What kind of flash do you use? Do you use the 8200? Or you use like
I use a myriad of ones, but my favorite one is it's the Godox 8400 Pro, also known as the Explorer 400 Pro by Adorama. That's my all-time favorite because it's strong, but also not too heavy, and it has that bright modeling lamp, and and it uses Bowen's mount, and I think it's just the perfect light. I do want to make a video dedicated to that, saying why it's my favorite.
And the softbox, how many do you use and which one do you use?
So I try to vary it up a bit, but if I had to choose one dedicated modifier, it's my 34-inch Glow Easy Lock Beauty Dish by Adorama, and I could be using more expensive options, but aside from my camera gear, I do like to use like lighting and modifiers that aren't too expensive but still work amazing. So that's why I use the 8400 Pro. It's actually $650, but it can be on sale every now and then. But that modifier, the 34-inch Beauty Dish, I use that one because it's affordable. I think it's $69 or $79, and it works really great. It's not too big, so that it's kind of like a hassle to handle on the field. It's not too small, so that the light isn't too harsh. It provides nice soft light, and it's light, and it's also very sturdy. For years I was using the 30-inch Glow Parapop, and people started to tell me, why aren't you using that anymore? And I was like, oh, well, it's just because it's like $100 more, and it's also just because it's like, I think it's fiber rods that it kind of like sways a little bit in the wind, just a little bit too much. So if it's a very windy day, if I needed to use something sturdier, that 34 inches is that. It's sturdier.
Well, definitely. We're all about saving some money.
Yes. I try to keep in mind that.
Saving money and making sure that we can utilize the resources that we have. Because everybody wants the top of the line stuff, but sometimes, the cheaper stuff works.
Yes.
Sometimes better, or
that's
commensurate to,
I can definitely tell you, I mean, I don't want to get into this debate thing, but there's some instances where the more expensive option lacks a lot of features that the cheaper alternative has. So that's why I use the things that I use. I use them for a reason.
You know what? Pro Photos, the best, hands down. I don't care what you say. At this point in your career, what would you say is your worst entrepreneurial moment?
Oh my gosh. Well, when I was taking on clients, I had a wedding that I needed to do, and I don't know why. And maybe actually, I think I know the reason why. My favorite number is 11, and we had a wedding on April 4th that I thought I could swear by the book that it was on April 11th, but it was April 4th, a week earlier. And so that day of, that Saturday, I was like, I'm gonna sleep in and have nothing to do, and or April 4th actually. So I got a couple calls, and I was like, nobody calls me. Who's calling me? And then I silenced the phone a couple times, like 4 or 5 times. And on that 6th time, I was like, what? Somebody's bugging me. It might be important. I see the client's name, and my heart stops. I went from tired to being like I could have ran a marathon in that second, because that's pretty much what we did. My fiance and me, where I woke her up and then I told her, they're calling me. Is the wedding today? And I'll take the blame because it was my fault that I told her it's on April 11th. It's on April 11th. That's when the wedding is. But it wasn't. I was wrong. And thankfully, I'm glad that it wasn't otherwise. But thankfully, I always have my cameras and my flashes and my SD cards all ready, like SD cards cleared, cameras and lighting charged to 100%, because I'm always just want to prepare for that. Kind of like was it Boy Scouts? You always want to be prepared. but yeah, so that happened. She called me. She's like, where are you? You know, we're gonna get ready soon. And you know, I freaked out. I got ready as fast as humanly possible. That in the next 5 minutes, grabbed my stuff, went over there. I don't want to say I was speeding, but you know what? You fill in the gaps. But yeah, we got there as soon as we could. We did it. I nailed it. You know, she was happy with the images after it all ended, and I was just. It wasn't so much bad in the sense that she experienced that worst part, but I'm always harsh on myself, and I never want to do anything that would make me fail again in the future. So that was a good way to kind of learn from that. So that it was bad experience for me learning, not to get the dates wrong, especially because, one's my favorite number, but it made me learn from that. So it was a bad experience that I learned from. You always got to take, some sort of learning experience from the bad things. Absolutely. So I would say that's something that was like, that's the number one thing that freaks me out. Even like probably had a nightmare about that one time.
I think we've all had that nightmare. Fortunately, I haven't run into that situation, but I am definitely learning from this experience. One of the other questions I wanted to ask you is, a lot of times we're put into situations that help us persevere and keep us moving forward, motivate us. They get us to the point where we need to move forward somehow. Good and bad times that dictate how we move forward in this life. People in our lives kind of change the direction or the trajectory of our lives as well. Friends, family, relatives, spouses, loved ones. Is there a moment in your life, in your career, that it's just been an aha moment for you? Definitely.
What I'm about to tell you is I would consider my aha moment because it's something that I pretty much always earn my money from now. It's my dedicated income. And in the business, it's called passive income. And I'll be honest, my family doesn't have, my whole family that I can think of, they don't really have kind of like the idea of making money in that sense. They do the things that, you do a service or a trade, a 9-to-5 job, and you get paid for that, and then the end of day, and then you just wait till the next day. The stuff that I've been doing, entrepreneurial stuff, is something that's always been self-taught. So when I learned about passive income, and specifically in the term of Amazon affiliate, it was actually from somebody else. Somebody told me, you've been recommending me products to purchase for years now, and if you were to just kind of make an affiliate account and throw me the same link, but you'd get commission from that. And I was like, what? This is a thing? So ever since then, I was like, what other companies have affiliate links, And I learned, there's so many companies that have affiliates. So my biggest earnings right now is from Amazon, from YouTube, from Adorama, from B&H, and those different companies, they're like my main sources of income, and it's all passive income. I always talk to people online and recommend them different products specifically that's going to work for them, not just, whatever most expensive and, however I can make a biggest commission. I want to get products that are within their budget that works for them, and I throw them a link. And I say the best way that, you can help me back in return is just to use my link, and, I earn a small bit from it. And yeah, learning that passive income was a thing was easily my biggest thing, because that's literally all the money that I make right now is passive income. I'm starting to do, other things like photo walks more, but that's the thing that has been earning me money for the past couple of years. Yeah. Awesome.
Well, they say the best way to make money is while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
So if you can do that, then that's the best way to do it, I think. Have you read any good books lately? Anything that has kind of jarred your interest into, moving forward with something?
So I'll be honest with you. I don't read a lot, but if it's photography related, then I'll be like, hey, maybe I will read this. The book that I actually own, but I need to look into it more, is The Dramatic Portrait by Chris Knight. Amazing, amazing photographer. And I do know some other books by Roberto Valenzuela, I believe his name is. Mm-hmm. He has a couple of picture-perfect posing, picture-perfect lighting, different kinds of books like that. So those are good ones that I always recommend to people. But definitely, I would say that one book, The Dramatic Portrait, is the number one on my in my mind, because I absolutely love his work, and he loves Rembrandt, and I love Rembrandt lighting. So that's the one that definitely sticks out more than anything. And if I were to say another book that wasn't so much photography related, it'd probably be Crushing It by Gary Vee, because I don't read it a lot nowadays in the most recent years, but early on when I was a kid, I used to read a lot. And so since I don't read a lot, and I heard about Gary Vee and I was inspired by him, I wanted to get his book. I bought it, and I actually read it from start to finish, and I've never done that before. So I was really inspired by that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, maybe we'll see you on like Creative Live or your own.
I would love that. If you're listening, guys.
Well, there's a website that's out there, which I've been using probably for the past couple of years, or at least since they've started, is scribed.com.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of them before. It's really inexpensive, but it's almost like an all-you-can-eat book.
Oh, yeah.
Reading. They also have audiobooks and stuff like that, which is, I'm not promoting them, but this kind of a.
It's not sponsored.
They're not sponsors, but I've been using them for some time now, and anytime I have some questions regarding photography, is there something that you're looking now and you said, man, I should have just jumped and not waited for this?
So I think one of the biggest things was not even anything photo related. It was just me being not confident with myself. I don't care if that sounds cheesy to anybody listening, but that's honestly what I felt and what I see other people experience, even at the last photo walk that I just did. Them being too timid, too shy to say anything, them experiencing these issues that I tell them, because I know I've been there, that if you have any sort of issues that you're having while adjusting the settings or anything, let me know, because I can help you. I'm right here. I can figure out what's the issue, and you can learn from it. So, and then even after saying that, they're like, and I'm on the ball, because on these people's over their shoulder saying, show me your photos. I want to see the photos. I want to see if they look good, and if they're not, I want to figure out why, so you can learn. And then they show me, and they're like, oh, I was having issues. And I was like, I told you to call me. And they're like, okay, all right, I'll reach out next time. But I was in that exact same spot. I never used to be so outgoing and like I am now. I love to talk to people, but being very shy, not so confident with myself, that held me back so much from wanting to just even talk to people. And in photography, especially with portrait work, which is all I do, is relating to the people and making them feel comfortable so that you can get great looking images. And especially if they're candid moments with natural light. I will say that one of the biggest things that helped me out with that was getting with my now fiance. I used to be so shy. Like other people might go out to a party and I'll be like, you know what, I'm going to just play video games inside by myself. And I'll do that. And so she got me out more in her circle, and she has an extensive family, and we would go to different events, and I'd have to talk to them and be more comfortable with talking to people that I don't know. And then actually when I started to do portrait work and be more serious about portraits, I was still kind of shy, and it was very noticeable in the beginning. And then over time, I got more and more confident with my skills, and that showed more in my ability to talk to these people, to get pictures of them. So, and me and my fiance, Ashley, we always tell people the very first male model that I worked with, I think he was the first model. Yeah. He, when he found out he was the first model that I was going to be working with, he was very noticeably, upset. He was like, really? Like he thought the photo shoot was going to be bad because of that. And that made me want to work harder, especially in the future. That gives me that push to overcome that. So, and after the photo shoot was done and over with, he loved those photos. And he talked about them for years. And it made me feel happy because I turned that energy into something good for us both. I could have been like, you know what, forget this, I'm not happy with your attitude, we're done. But I wanted to overcome that and tackle that. So over time, I got more confident from talking to people, and when I got better at my skill of photography, it made me more confident in reaching out to more people and reaching out to models. And just that confidence, that lack of confidence held me back for so long.
That's amazing, man. And being an introvert and a photographer, sometimes sometimes they don't match up. You have to break out of that shell and just say, hey, especially when you're directing and you want that look. And I just a quick experience. Yesterday, I had a senior shoot, like a young girl, and she saw the photos and she's like, man, I thought I was going to look all fat and I didn't think I was going to look good. And I said, look, I put you in situations that are going to make you look good. I'm going to put you in positions that are conducive to making that photograph work. And so she's like, oh, wow, I thought I was going to be in uncomfortable situations. And I was like, well, sometimes I'll put you in an uncomfortable situation, but, it all depends on the person. You look at them and then all of a sudden you're analyzing them, nose, eyes, ears, face, body, and then you're trying to position these people in positions that's going to make that photograph look good. And you need to be able to communicate that.
To kind of like relate to that same experience, I remember I did a photo shoot with a friend of mine, and we were taking pictures of this kind of barely new model, the first photo she's ever done. She was like deer in the headlights. She was like wide open, no expression. She was just nervous. She was turning her face sideways, but like it was just the same expression, so scared. And I can't remember. I'm a big Disney fan, and I remember there was like leaves falling, and I was like, oh, it's like Pocahontas. It's like what's it called, the Colors of the Wind. And then she was like, oh, you know Disney? And I was like, yeah, I'm a huge Disney fan. I go to Disney like any chance I could get. I've gone in the past, blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, oh, well, and like, I like Disney too. And then it was around the time that the movie Moana came out. We started talking about that. I was like, oh, I loved it. And and then she just got a lot more comfortable. Yeah. And then the immediate, like I have the photos. Mm-hmm. The immediately after that conversation, absolutely, she was so much more comfortable looking. Yeah. And it just showed up in the images, like night and day difference. So it was just all about making her feel comfortable.
Exactly.
It was awesome.
Exactly. And a lot of times we schedule an extended hour or and a half just so that we know that first 30 minutes or so is just the uncomfortable part of that photo shoot. And you can almost see the transition.
You got to get in that groove.
And then you're just looking at them, and before you know it, they're doing stuff automatically. And it's awesome to see that transition. And initially what I'll do is I'll show them the photos, which probably you're not supposed to do. But then as soon as I see that change, I show them that. And I say, look, this is you being comfortable. Now we're able to see that emotion come out in that photo. We're able to see how this photo will evoke that emotion. Yeah. And so that's just one of the things as a photographer, you learn over the years. What is the best advice you've received?
In terms of gear, I would probably say, like for a long time, I was using cheap light stands. And there was a photographer by the name of Joey L. that said, why would you spend so much money on like either a camera or a lighting setup per photo, for example, and then you put it on a very cheap $20 light stand, and then it falls over because of that cheap light stand. And I was like, you know what, that makes so much sense. So I still use cheap stands, but in the sense that it's still a great sturdy C-stand, which is, I always use C-stands. That sturdiness is there. So it's cheap in that sense, but it's a pretty affordable C-stand compared to like other ones that cost like double or triple. But that's the best thing I would say for gear. But actually, in a sense that the same photographer, Joey L., he's the one that got me liking off-camera flash. And when I started to really dive into his work, and he's actually one of the first photographers that I can actually think of ever that started to share behind the scenes videos or photos or anything, and it made me get a better understanding of the power of lighting. So I would say him kind of inadvertently, indirectionally telling me, stop putting your stuff on cheap light stands and use lighting. That's the best thing that helped me out, because I love lighting. And I do want my stuff not to break.
Well, that's kind of what sets you apart from everybody else also. You using the type of lighting that's available to you, but also utilizing the flash in conjunction with that is just something that if you master that, it sets you apart from every other photographer out there, and it just improves your quality so much more. Yeah. Have you found a daily routine that works for you, or have you noticed anything that you're doing differently that contributes to your success?
Like you said before, that feeling of lazy, it's always there. It's always present. And I always tell people, I always kick myself to not be lazy when it comes to photography because I love it so much and I don't want to be lazy about it. And this is something that my fiance doesn't even know yet. But when there's times where I might post something that could, have an altering opinion, a little bit of debate. And if I wake up and everything's nice and, easy peasy, everybody's agreeing with me, then I'm like, oh, I'll sleep a little bit longer. If somebody has a different opinion than that like me wanting to like debate, like I'm very much, I wanted to originally be a lawyer. So I like to argue, but I always fight that urge. But me disagreeing with somebody or somebody arguing with me, it wakes me up, that energy. So I don't seek out these things that like upset me, but I know those things will make me wake up and give me the energy to just, without coffee, without taking a shower, without washing my face, it gives me that energy. So that's something that I don't aim for, but that's something that will wake me up and then start my day. It's not the best advice, but I'm being honest here. That's sort of who I am. But if I'm not, if that doesn't happen, then of course I'll still, the thing that according to everybody's analytics, it's going to differ, but Instagram, the best time to post is 9 o'clock for me in the morning. And I want to say that's probably because people are just starting their work. They can slack off in the beginning a little bit, or they're about to work and they want to scroll through Instagram real quickly. So me wanting to wake up at 8 o'clock so I can have that dedicated hour to make an Instagram post, or maybe a little bit earlier if I feel like I want to relax edit, then get it ready for 9 o'clock and share it, then that makes me want to wake up earlier. I am definitely the type that can sleep till like 11 to 12 even. So the fact that I want to share with others and share and grow my Instagram, that actually makes me want to wake up at 7:38 so that I can prepare that, so I can push that out there. And again, like this type of stuff that I do, which is very social media influenced, is gonna just benefit everything else. My Instagram will feed my Facebook page. My Facebook page and my Instagram will feed my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel, Facebook and Instagram will feed my affiliate links, and it'll just grow myself as a brand. And it all comes from a very natural present thing inside of me where I just like to help people out. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's the main thing that drives me, the social media stuff.
So are you currently using a platform that helps you schedule your posts, or are you doing all these individually?
I use none. I've gotten asked that before. I've gotten asked from people, do you even manage your own social media account? Because I do reply to a lot of messages every day, and I make a lot of posts every day. And I use none of those services. One, because I'm cheap. And two, because I'm like, I'm already on Facebook. Oh, I'm already on Instagram, already on, YouTube. Might as well just share it. But yeah, I get asked that a lot. And if I'm being honest with myself, it probably would be a lot easier to just pay a little bit and get all that services to do those jobs for me. But I don't post to post and leave. That's something that if I did that in the beginning, then I wouldn't be where I am now. I post and I engage with people. I post on my Facebook and I engage the comments. I post on my Instagram, engage the comments, answer people's questions. I post YouTube videos, I engage the comments. I don't want to just dump the content and just take off. I want to connect with people. I like connecting with people, helping them out. So if I utilize those services, it would post the stuff for me, but it wouldn't post the comments for me. It wouldn't look at these people's questions and figure out what's the best way to answer it. It wouldn't look into these people's profiles, click on their profiles, scroll through their feed, see what kind of work they're producing, what's holding them back, what ways they can improve, and what pieces of gear or different things that they could do with that existing gear could give them better images. And that's what I do. People don't see that. My fiance doesn't see that. Nobody sees that but me. If I could record my eyes, then everybody else would see. But I do that. I scroll through people's profiles. I see what kind of, if they're from India, if they're from the US, UK, if they're from any other areas of the world, there's different ways that people interact and operate in those areas. And I've come to know that because of interacting with people all over the world. So I'm probably, this answer is being so long, but but it's honestly what I do. And then yeah, I like to engage people, and it's just so much more than just simply saying that. Oh, I want to just engage people. There's so much more to that question and that answer. So I just try to provide that insight.
You know, and a lot of people, what they do is they try to go make the money, but forget about engaging with the people and helping other people. And I think if you go that route, then the money will come. So thank you for coming on to the show. I really appreciate you giving us your valuable insight on how you generate passive income. You're a superstar and an inspiration to me and our listeners. So how can people get a hold of you if they want to sign up for a seminar?
I'm very fortunate that I've chosen a username that's pretty. It's available on all my social media. So whatever website you're trying to find me on, if you just search FJH Photo, those are my initials, FJH Photo, then I'm going to be there. Twitter.com/FJH Photo, YouTube.com/FJH Photo. Same thing with Facebook and Instagram. FJH Photo is going to be everywhere. Yeah, I try to keep it very nice and neat. So it's just at
so
FJH
everybody
Photo.
Just go on Google, search FJH Photo, and they'll
find me.
They'll find you.
Yeah.
So.
If you guys just want to choose one thing to follow, I would say Instagram. I'm on that the most.
There you go, guys. Francisco Hernandez. You have to build your business. There are all levels of photographers out there, and you have to maintain that course and continually hit it hard. Educate yourself. Building a passive revenue through education is a viable business, and some photographers are now turning towards this type of revenue. Continue to network, build relationships with other photographers, and turn your passion of photography into a way for you to continually make money while you are sleeping. Your continued support for this channel gives us the opportunity to bring new guests and help women, veterans, and minority-owned businesses gain some insight on the successes and failures of other entrepreneurs. If you have not already done so, please subscribe and share. Help us build this platform to help other aspiring entrepreneurs.
Thank you for listening to The Creative Entrepreneur. Please click the show notes for additional information. Want to know more? Click on the subscribe button and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by visiting us at tcepodcast.net.